You're listening to the Confidence Shift podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Charles Gustafson. I'm a former award-winning direct sales entrepreneur who achieved everything you think you want in a business, plus a little burnout and depression on the side. But using my degree in marketing strategy, expertise in personal branding, and my creative self-development process, I healed myself by shifting my confidence, starting with how I saw myself in the mirror. Now, as a certified image consultant and international confidence coach, I run a life-changing internet business and online community showing purpose-driven female entrepreneurs, professionals, and community influencers to toss out the old dress for style mentality and shift into the image, mindset, success connection that crushes self-doubt and creates maximum visibility for your goals. Each episode, I share lessons, stories, and personal musings from my life as an entrepreneur, wife, and mom, all aimed at helping you see yourself differently so you can live a life filled with more intention, joy, and success. I'm glad you're here. Let's jump in. Welcome back, everyone. I heard Damon John once say that an overnight success took 15 years. I laughed and I thought, ain't that the truth? Every successful person has an origin story. As I look back at my podcasts, my social media, all my online broadcasting over all these years, I realize that I've never told my origin story. The thing about origin stories is that they are a foundation of who we are and what we do. They are rarely all victories without some kind of knockdown defeat in there somewhere. I wanted to finally share my story. Why? Because when we have the courage to share our own story, we give permission to others to explore theirs and do the same. I want to give you that permission. I'm recording this on October 10th, deemed World Mental Health Day, though you may listen at any time, I know. I hope it gives you some peace, relief, and hope that any part of your story can be turned into magic of purpose and confidence to make a difference. It really can. So, thank you for listening today as I take you back in time. There was a period of about 9 months in my life that I called the sad times. It was a period that I felt most lost. I had become a mother, decided to step down from my management in my high-performing direct sales business, experimented with a fast-paced sales job, and then moved to a more flexible type of sales organization, all in the hopes of getting me back into my old self. The highly visible, unfailingly successful, award-winning achiever. I desperately wanted to go back to who I was before I had my daughter. I was the go-to, the one everyone knew, the woman who inspired others, the most confident one. That's all I wanted to be again. But deep down, I wasn't. Looking back at that period of the sad times, I now know it was what we call depression. I can call it that now, but back then, I just felt like a void. It felt like a blur. I remember sitting at nights on the sofa, watching my shows with a glass of wine. Then I really couldn't remember how the bottle got empty. I remember this happening a few more times, even now that I want to admit. But at the time, it didn't seem like an issue. I just was winding down from my roles and stressful days as wife and mom and achiever extraordinaire and community leader of the day and preparing to gear up to do it all over again tomorrow. There was a turning point that scared me, though. In my life, I never had experienced taking an illicit drug or narcotic. Not one. Not even in high school or through my university days. To be honest, drugs had always frightened me. It's never been an escape option or an idea for me. In fact, whenever I would see drug use on any movie or television program, the visual of it would make me physically ill. But one evening, flipping through the channels, I stopped on Intervention. That show about addiction and how their families help them hopefully get help. It was a story of a mother that had turned to heroin as her coping mechanism with past trauma and her depression from long-standing hurts. This time, I watched the scene of her inject herself with a drug of choice, and I noticed something so frightening, it stopped me in my tracks. I wasn't ill. I didn't look away. I wasn't disturbed. Instead, I realized that I completely understood her escape, her need and want to escape. I was there with her, and I was there with her need to want to numb herself. Oh my God, I, who had never ever wanted to escape in that kind of way, could relate. The very next day, I spoke rattled to my very compassionate employer at the time, who did the very best thing he could have done. He told me that he didn't know how to help me, but that he knew something that would. He slid a card across the table with the phone number of the workplace counselor. That very night, I called the 1-800 number and spoke to a lady on the other end. I don't remember her name, but I am sure she saved me. I told her about my experience watching the television show and how I could somehow, to my surprise, relate to the woman in the story. She said something profound to me. She said, "Michelle, you need to know that you are no different than her. You are on the brink. You've chosen a little too much wine to cope today, but you are one step away from her solution." Holy shit, I thought. I heard what she was saying loud and clear. I was on the verge and I had a choice. That night, she gave me a few small steps to back myself away from the cliff that I was heading to. She offered me reassurance that I could reclaim perspective, and she offered me 3 more sessions for which I attended every one. Part of my own recovery from the sad times came with the realization that the depression came from feeling separated from myself. Who was I? Who was I? If I was a mom, how was I going to be high achiever Michelle? And if I wasn't high achiever Michelle, who was I? That disconnect of self caused me to want to disconnect from life, to lose myself, who was already lost in shows and wine, because I didn't know how to begin to get back to myself. After I received her advice and tools, one solution became very clear. I needed to reclaim a relationship with myself. I needed to save myself with myself. I needed to fall in love with Michelle, not the mom, not the business person, not the top achiever. Just Michelle. That's when I began to explore my journey in image consulting and confidence coaching. I wanted to free myself from punishing exercises and flogging diets that I was subjecting myself to, along with the depressive scrutiny. I realized to be kind to myself meant I needed to accept myself in the moment exactly how I was. I began learning everything I could about myself, focusing on how I saw myself in the mirror every single day. I took my artist streak and love of color and applied it to myself. I took my love of process and applied it systematically to my body shape. I took my love of solution building and designed a way to dress myself that honored the woman I was to become, beyond every role I owned, just as Michelle. My human style process was born, and it was the beginning of connecting my true self to who I saw in the mirror and helping other women do the same. Since those days of feeling disconnected, I have used my philosophy on myself and with the women I serve in my communities to help them connect their mindset about self-love to how they see themselves in the mirror, being seen as important in their purpose, and then finding joy and success with it. I figured that if this mindset shift worked on me to pull me from the brink and out of depression, it would work for other women too, no matter what their dip in self-worth or belief or aimlessness or frustration has brought them to. I also realized that the beginning of the journey started with myself. It started with reacquainting myself with myself. which is exactly why I created the Magic Confidence Project, the precursor to any of my image work, to reclaim who you are and to turn that new perspective that sparked magic confidence into a belief in yourself that will change everything for you, just as it changed everything for me. Every superhero has a turning point in her origin story. How they come to be and own their magic, and then how they use that to help others. I found mine in what I do in image confidence. After discovering how I do what I do, I could feel myself feeling happy all the way inside. What most don't know about me is that I'm my own case study. I'm my first client. By me learning, reacquaint myself with myself through a journey in confidence and image, by dressing well and seeing myself as the woman I was becoming, by changing who that was in the mirror, it changed the trajectory of what I would create next. Within a year of healing myself with my own journey, I published my first book. I stepped back into full-time entrepreneurship with my image confidence business as I started to grow it. Without my origin story, I wouldn't have the current story of clients that I've helped locally and international, and a thriving, abundant business that brings me joy every single time I touch another woman's life. It's not very often people get to say they work completely in their purpose. I get to say that every day. And all I want for you is for you to say it too. Thank you for listening to my story. My greatest hope is that I use my life to create a legacy. I've said it before that legacy doesn't live in fame and accolades, or even really loudly. Legacy lives in those you change. That's what I'm here to do. If you're in a space to begin changing, my program, the Magic Confidence Project, may help you make a start to your new confident transition. You can discover it at magicconfidenceproject.com. It's something I am so excited for because it's changing people's lives to see themselves differently in their own picture. If you've been a people pleaser or struggling with boundaries in your life and relationships, maybe you've lost the connection with yourself and that who you are beyond those titles and achievements, or you have no idea anymore what brings you joy, the kind that makes you feel alive and on purpose. Or maybe it's just like your responsibilities feel like obligations now and you're drained and stuck in all of the motivations of others. Or maybe you just feel like you just don't know anymore. That self-doubt, that aimlessness that you just can't shake. I mean, imagine rediscovering the best parts of yourself, revealing new seeds of purpose. Imagine energizing the right kind of relationships that support you. And beyond that, establishing a way, a practice that renews your confidence every single day. The Magic Confidence Project is perfect to start your personal growth when you don't know where to start. It's meant to show you how to take care of your confidence as a foundation, an essential ingredient to your success. Check it out. Go to magicconfidenceproject.com and explore more. Just imagine what it would feel like if you not only shift your confidence, but you start to own the impact you can make by just being you. And to have a plan that keeps that motivation to pursue it, no matter what your role. That's all I'm here to do. Check it out at magicconfidenceproject.com. And we'll see you very soon. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.